channel. So we just finished watching episode 8 of The Bachelor with Peter.
And tonight was hometown, so that means he only had 4 girls left. And we start off the hometowns in Knoxville, Tennessee with Hannah Ann's hometown.
So Hannah Ann, for their day, part of the date, brings him axe throwing. And let me tell you, Peter wasn't that great.
No, he was not.
No.
Yeah, so Hannah Ann's dad is a forester, so the date was kind of inspired by her dad, which is fitting with the hometown. Then Peter gives Hannah Ann a note, kind of just expressing all the things he loves about her, because if you guys remember, last episode Hannah Ann gave Peter a note. It was really cute because they haven't really had, like, I don't think a lot of, like, intense...
Right, or we haven't seen their, like, intimate moments where they're, like, truly getting to know each other. We haven't seen a lot of that.
Yeah, so that was really cute.
So then we go to Hannah Ann's home, and we get to meet her family. And the first one to grab Hannah Ann is her sister. And her sister is, is asking the sisterly questions, and she's, like, in awe in, like, how in love Hannah Ann is with Peter.
I thought it was kind of funny because she was like, oh, have you guys said, like, I love you yet? And she's like, well, he wrote me a note about all the things he loves about me. And she's like, oh, okay, well, then he loves you. that
was cute.
Yeah, it was really cute. It was silly. Her dad did not seem into this at all.
No.
Her mom even seemed a little bit skeptical, but yeah, her dad
was tough.
Yeah, for sure. Peter expressed to both Hannah's parents that he was falling in love with her, and her dad literally said, out of respect as a father, please do not say that to her unless you really mean it, because he knows that there's still 3 other women involved with this, and he doesn't want his daughter to get hurt or get her hopes up, so it makes sense. So after Peter meets all the family, we see him and Hannah Ann have a little talk outside the house, and he ends up saying that he's falling in love with her, even though the dad kind of said, please don't do that. But obviously, he really means it. He wants to tell her that. And she said it back to him that she's in love with him, actually. And she said that she really needed tonight to, like, fully be committed to this, and she's ready.
I'm just happy we're finally getting to see them being more on the same page, where before I feel like Hannah Ann wasn't even near where Peter was.
Right, and Peter said over and over again that he just wants someone to want him as bad as he wants them, which is so sweet. And he's finally getting that reassurance from the girls.
Yep. So then we go to Iowa, which is where Kelsey is from. And Kelsey's day, part of the day, is bringing Peter to a winery where they get to, like, stomp on grapes, making their own wine. It seemed kind of fun.
And it was very fitting for Kelsey to take him there with the whole champagne gate.
Right.
And her being an alcoholic and everything. So, very fitting. It was super cute. Peter was talking about the wine and the aftertaste and the bitter and the sweetness, and combining that all together to create their relationship wine. It was really sweet, and it was great to see them have fun on this date.
Yeah. So after they're drinking their wine, Kelsey really opens up to Peter and expresses how she's really falling in love with him, and that, like, even her family is gonna see how much she really cares about him.
And the whole time I felt like Kelsey was, like, itching for Peter to kind of, like, say it back and reassure her. But obviously, I don't think he's allowed. Is he allowed to say I'm in love with you?
He is.
Oh, okay.
We have Ben. You remember Ben?
No.
He said, I love you.
In love with 2 girls, yeah. I think they asked them not to, though, kind of like, because then it gives it away.
Respect, too, for, like, their future girl, like.
Yeah, exactly. But I really think Kelsey needed that reassurance, and at that moment, I was like, I don't know.
She didn't really get it.
Yeah.
So then we head to Kelsey's home, where we meet her whole family, and they have dinner.
Yeah, her family even made crab rangoons, which is Kelsey's favorite, and I guess Peter has never had them before, and they must have talked about that, so he was, like, all excited. He was like, oh, I finally get to try them. Then we see Kelsey and her 2 sisters talk, and this kind of gets deep. I mean, they flat out asked her, they were like, if he gets on one knee at the end of this, are you gonna say yes? And she was like, yes, he checks every box for me and then some. He's such a good guy. Like, she's just head over heels for him.
She's falling hard. Then we hear from Kelsey's mom, who definitely seems skeptical or maybe just emotional.
Very emotional, just like her daughter.
Yeah, true.
But Peter says to her that one of the best qualities of Kelsey is he's never had to question how she's feeling. Although she may be emotional, he always knows what her heart is feeling. She has her heart on her sleeve, which is kind of worked out for Kelsey.
Yeah.
So to end the night, Kelsey and Peter talk outside. She again just reassures him that she's really in love with him. He thanks her for such an amazing night. It really seemed like he got along with the family too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it was definitely a really good hometown.
Then we go to our third hometown, which is with Madison. And she takes us to her hometown of Auburn, Alabama. And the day part of the date, they go to Auburn University, where not only her dad works, but she also went to school there.
And she was a star basketball player there. So they went to the arena.
Yeah.
And Madison and Peter were lit up everywhere. Charles Barkley was there, on the screen, giving them a cute little message. So her dad is actually the assistant basketball coach. We have the head basketball coach come out and kind of give them some advice and talk to them. They do all these little basketball games, and she's like blowing him out of the water.
Really good.
Yeah, he was not that great. Something I thought that was really funny was the coach said something to Madison like, "Oh, wow, you made it to 2 Final Fours now," because I guess she made it to the Final Four for basketball.
Right.
That was really cute.
It was super cute. And then from there, we went to Madison's home, where we get to meet the family.
And they have this super cute tradition that they have this special plate. It has like a gold rim on it. And whoever gets this special plate, everyone around the table has to go around and say something nice about them. And Peter loved this tradition. He loves, the family aspect of everything. Yeah. So that's something that they can really connect on. Before they start dinner, her dad and the whole family say a prayer and they toast with some sweet tea.
Yep. Then we have Madison's mom pull Madison aside. And like any mom, Madison's mom is concerned. And she talks to Madison to see if she had opened up to Peter about her faith. And to see if Peter knows that she's saving herself for marriage. Which is a big deal.
And the fact that she hasn't told him this far in could be alarming for Peter.
Yeah, especially because next week is Fantasy Suite Week, which can get really intense sometimes.
Yeah, as we know with Peter. Yes. Peter and Madison's dad talk, and it's very intense. He talks about how Madison's faith is very important to her, and how pure Madison is, and he hopes that Peter understands that. And I feel like he was insinuating the whole saving herself thing without saying it to Peter.
He did a good job doing it too.
I know, because I was like, oh my god, Dad, don't be the one to break that news to Peter right now, because that would have been actually a pretty good episode. So then we see Madison and her dad have a very emotional talk. And he said, "You know what? Don't know if Peter's the one for you, but I am not shutting the door quite yet."
So as they are walking out of the house, Peter does express to her, like, he is falling for her. And in this moment, you really can see Madison hasn't said that to Peter yet. And you can tell it's getting tough. Like, is she finally going to let the wall come down and just, like, be vulnerable and, like, fall?
Yeah.
Fall in love.
I think because she hasn't been completely honest with him, she's afraid to let that wall down and to let him know how she's feeling. And she really needs to figure this out.
Yeah. So now we are in Virginia with Victoria F.
So the day part of the date, they take some old time photos. It's super cute. Peter said he didn't even care what they were doing that day. He just wanted to spend more time with Victoria.
The highlight of the day part of this date is that Victoria had like a surprise concert for Peter.
Yeah, with Hunter Hayes.
Yes, whom he clearly knew loves his music because he was singing every single word to the music.
And it was so funny because the song was, "I don't want easy, I just want crazy," which is definitely a depiction of their relationship thus far.
And honestly, this was probably my favorite hometown date. I think he had the most fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Until the end of this. So right as we kind of see Peter walk away with the producers, kind of like a little background scene there, we hear someone say Peter, and it's this girl Marissa, which apparently he dated years ago.
Yep.
And she warns Peter about Victoria, saying that she's broken up relationships before, and saying that she was actually friends with Victoria up until a couple months ago, and she didn't want to be friends with her anymore. I don't know, just drama follows this girl around. I'm not really sure the extent of all of this.
Right.
But Peter obviously didn't want to hear this. He's so smitten by Victoria, and this is the last thing he wanted to hear after such a good day.
Mm-hmm. So after that conversation, they do go their separate ways until they go to her family's home. When he arrives, Victoria F. is not dumb. She can clearly see that Peter is completely thrown off. Mm-hmm. And he expresses to her what his ex just told him.
Mm-hmm. She gets completely defensive so quickly and was basically thinking that Peter was taking this girl's side. And he's whoa. I'm not saying I'm taking her side. I just want to know what's going on. She shuts down, gets very kind of bitter. Mm-hmm. Basically wants to give up on everything. Mm-hmm. And he literally says to her, Victoria, what does it look like when you actually fight for something?
Right.
Why aren't you fighting for this? How do you not see that I am, basically?
I know.
It was hard to watch. Clearly Victoria has been in very combative relationships in the past, because that's not normal to act like that.
And then she just walks away again. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I'm come on, Victoria, you can do this. Just have a conversation. They have to communicate a lot better for this relationship to work out.
For sure.
Finally, Victoria does walk back after she's cooled off a little, and does express to Peter that she wanted to tell him that she was falling in love with him. Mm-hmm. And then she kind of it's a stinky situation, because she's now how am I supposed to do that? It's not going to be as special.
Right. And basically her saying that is her saying it to him. Yeah. She was just so upset that things weren't going the way they wanted. He didn't even get to meet her family. It really seemed like she just wanted more reassurance from him. I don't know why she seems like she's not feeling safe in this relationship at this point.
Mm-hmm. This process is definitely very, very hard for her. Mm-hmm. So this moment is really confusing, because you don't know if they're breaking up, if they're not. Peter gives her a kiss on the forehead and is like, you deserve to be loved, and don't push it away. Mm-hmm. And then he gets in the car and drives off. And it's what just happened?
Yeah, he was very upset in the car. Victoria's whole family comes out to greet her and was like, don't worry, you still have us.
Poor grandma was out there too.
So we see Peter the next day in the hotel. He's very upset. He says he hates seeing Victoria like this, and it was not how he wanted the hometown to go.
Right.
We hear a knock on the door, and who is it but Victoria? She apologizes for last night. She just, again, she's like, I don't know, not really giving him anything. And he says, listen, I don't want to make a decision right now.
Right.
He walks her out, and she hands him the photo from the day part of the date. With the little old time photo, and it says Mr. and Mrs. on the back or something. I don't know. It was cute, and she says hang on to this. After she leaves, we just see her bawling her eyes out, clearly so upset and not knowing what was next for her and Peter.
Yeah.
So going into this rose ceremony, we don't know what's going to happen, especially with Peter not meeting Victoria's family. He says that 99% of the time things are great, and then that 1%, it just implodes, and he really didn't know what he was going to do. Mm-hmm. But he was very confident in the 4 girls that he did pick.
Yeah. So at the rose ceremony, out of the 4 girls, Kelsey is the one who does not get a rose and was sent home. Peter walks her out and does explain why. And truthfully, it was just, as honest as she was with him, he wanted to be just as honest. And the other relationships are just a little stronger, and he just wasn't feeling this one as much.
So now we have the 3 girls left, and then we hear Madison call out for Peter, asking if she can talk to him. And the show insinuates that this is finally when Madison is going to talk to him about saving herself for marriage.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the end of the episode, on our toes, waiting for next week.
Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Please make sure you guys like this video, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell notification so you guys can see every time that we upload a new video.
Yes, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.